here I have my stock photos folder opened up right here, and then I also have my file in Photoshop opened up, again with a little bit of room on the right side of my screen so I can kind of easily tab back into here to grab these photos. Alright, today you're going to choose what you think you want to be your front and center image should be. I'm going to be going with the God of War characters, Kratos and Atreus. I haven't really quite decided which one I'm going to use just yet. I think I'm going to go with this stoic one right here, and then we'll see if that looks good or not. So you're going to take your image and you're going to click and drag it into your file, and then move it around generally where you want. You'll see that it will go over your text right now. That's totally fine. If you want to make it a little bit bigger, feel free. Again, don't make it too big, because we are going to be putting in a lot of characters. After you have them in place, just simply hit enter. Go over to your layers here, make sure that it's labeled correctly. Mine says God of War, that's perfect. You want the text layer to be named something that is recognizable. You'll notice that this icon right here means that this layer is a smart image. We're not going to want that for editing. So not on the text, not on the thumbnail, but a little bit over here to the right click, or two fingers down at the same time. And I want you to look for the option right here called Convert to Layers. So go ahead and click that. Hit yes to this, and you'll notice that that little thumbnail icon now is gone. This will let us do what we need to do to it. On the left side on your tool panel, I want you to look for the, well, hopefully this one comes up, but it might not. It's the fourth down. It might be Object Selection Tool from the get-go right here, but you want Quick Selection Tool. They really essentially do the same thing, essentially, but Quick Select is the one that I'm used to, so we'll go over that, but you can tinker around with both later. Under Quick Select, there's a lot of things in here. Let me actually zoom in and kind of give you a little bit of a history lesson real quick. So back in the day, if I wanted to select Kratos, like, and we're talking like when I learned Photoshop, like back in like the early 2000s, you would take this tool called the Lasso tool right here, and you would have to literally like click, drag, and like very carefully select all of him like this. It was awful. These were the dark ages, because doing this is ridiculous and takes forever. So anyway, along came other lasso tools. Eventually this magnetic lasso came into play, and this was kind of a game changer because I'm not clicking right now. I'm just kind of hovering around Kratos, and it's being relatively intelligent about where he is, you know, versus the background. I forget what version this was in, but this was like, oh my god, like, okay, the future is now, right? But again, you'd still have to go around the entire character to get a full selection, so you could see how that would take quite a while if I just wanted just Kratos in it, right? Then comes this. Then comes Quick Selection Tool. This is incredible. At first, if you look up here in the top left, there's a plus and a minus. If I have the plus selected, which I do now, and I go over to Kratos' face, and I start going around, it just will pick up on parts of his face and his shoulder. And you can let go, and you can keep adding to the selection, and it just knows. Like, it just snapped that whole thing right there. You could take the minus, and you could kind of remove things at will as well, if it selected a little bit more than what you wanted. Now, in the year of 2022, I guess, when this video will be produced, you have Select Subject. True black magic at our hands. Let me zoom out a little bit and show you what I mean. Just simply click it. Voila. Now, it always grabs a little bit of extra. It's not perfect, but man, does it save a ton of time. So it grabbed a lot of extra content over here to the left, and it grabbed a little bit under his armpit right there. But that's really about it. It did a pretty good job. What I'm going to do now, after this, because we will edit this in a little bit, is I'm going to click all the way up here where it says Select and Mask. And you'll see that it gets rid of everything that it didn't have selected. Under this, however, there's a lot of settings now in the properties that appeared on the right. All this stuff in this top section here doesn't matter too much. Don't worry about it. Global refinements. This is what we want. Smooth. I like going up to like 19 to 20, let's say. Feather. I think a 2-point feather is ideal. You could type it in here if you wanted to. I leave these alone to be honest, the contrast and shift edge, but these are kind of like my go-tos. Something else you can do, this plus and minus that appear in the top right here, that will add or remove from your selection. I'm going to choose the minus. You can see you could change your brush size. Right now it's 9. It's really tiny. I'm going to show you a better way to do that. I'm going to be zooming in with Command plus, and I'm going to go down here to the background around Atreus. I have the minus selected, and if I were to click and drag right now, it's going to start erasing content from around, you know, this little area here that I'm going in, and it's being smart about not erasing anything from Atreus. If I wanted to make this brush bigger or smaller, I can use the bracket keys, or I could go up here to where it says 9. The bracket keys, if I hit the left bracket, it makes my brush size smaller. If I hit the right bracket, it makes it bigger. Honestly, it'll be doing a lot of editing for you, so just take your time, do little tiny clicks and let go, because that way if you don't like something, you can just Command Z it. Like that one took a lot out. Want a little bit of that out too. And it looked like it grabbed his bow. Do you see how it took the bow out right here? So I'm going to go up to the plus sign, and I'm going to take a really tiny brush, and I know that the bow is kind of there, so I'm just going to kind of draw and let go, and you'll see that it reappears. Now, it might not be pixel perfect, because it is pulling in a... into some issues. But generally, that's really good, and that's way faster than like manually doing that myself. Alright, after I have what I want, I'm going to hit OK. Now you'll see, whoa, hey, everything came back. What's the dealio? That's just it being selected. So now we have to apply a layer mask to it. The layer mask button is this one down here in the bottom right, where it says Add Layer Mask. So go ahead and hit that, and you'll see that everything is now officially gone. If you look at your God of War thumbnail, or not, you probably won't be doing God of War. If you look at your character thumbnail, you'll see that you have your image and your mask applied to it now. Anything that's white shows, anything that's black is hidden. So here's the very last thing that we're going to get into today. Final touch-ups. If you want to be a perfectionist. I'm going to go right into here, into this bow part where there's a little bit of the background left. We're going to be taking the paintbrush tool. It's this tool right here. Looks like an actual brush. You could just hit B for it. My brush size is enormous right now. It's up here. It's 125. You could hit this and change the slider down. There's a better way. Whoops. Though, the brackets. Left bracket, smaller. Right bracket, bigger. So I'm going to go pretty small for this. Now, with the color black selected, if you look down here, black is selected and white is my backup. Black will erase content. Like it just erased Atreus' arm. If I go to this little swap button right here, where it swaps to white, I can actually draw his arm back in. So, with a layer mask selected, black hides, white shows. How can I tell that I have the layer mask selected right now if I'm looking at my layers over here? What visual indicator did I go over? Yes, this little boxy guy around it. Look, I have the image selected right now, so if I were to draw, white would appear on Kratos. We don't want that. So if you're trying to erase or hide and black or white is showing up, you've got to make sure that you have the layer mask selected. You could just hit the X key to swap those two colors. If you look down on the bottom right, they're like going back and forth really quick. I'm just hitting X. That's like a nice little hotkey to swap those colors. And I am going to go in and take away just a few extra little imperfections. Whoa. Take a look at what it looks like at about 50%. I'm happy. Last thing we gotta do is move it. So I'm going to take the move tool up here, this top one, hotkey V, and that moves. Now, the rotation here looks awkward without the background, right? So if you hover over, like the top right, let's say, and you'll see that your icon changes to this curved arrow. Click and hold, and you can rotate it a little bit. I'm going to be rotating mine like right about here, getting it into place. Now, layer organization. this title run right here will probably end up being the very topmost layer. I'm going to click and drag and move this God of War layer below it. And then if you look, their feet look like they're actually below the title. Let me deselect him. This way, your whole thing will kind of pop out from just this one image. All right. What I want you to do is do this to one or two of your characters. In this one video, I will play me doing maybe one or two more characters, like the front row you'll get to see, and then we'll go do another review kind of applying more characters as they expand out. All right, guys, have fun with all these edits. Don't feel bad about replaying the video. There's a lot of information in this one.